On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury against Iran. The initial wave of missile exchanges immediately halted regional commerce. This data-driven map of the Persian Gulf shows the direct economic consequence of the war. You can see the shipping traffic lines form a bottleneck right at the entrance to the Strait of Hormuz. Between a strict U.S. naval blockade and Iranian military enforcement, the waterway is effectively closed to international shipping. To restore regional trade, international mediators from Pakistan and Qatar have been trying to broker a two-phase peace deal known as the Islamabad Memorandum. The logistical plan for the treaty is unusual. Because the region is an active combat zone and physical travel is too dangerous for top officials, mediators arranged to execute an electronic signing via a secure video link. But just as this virtual peace deal was about to be finalized, a series of kinetic, real-world events threatened to unplug the entire diplomatic process. This split-screen visualization illustrates the front-loaded mechanics of Phase 1. The U.S. naval blockade is lifted, and the Strait of Hormuz immediately reopens. In exchange, Iran receives sanctions relief and the direct release of $25 billion in frozen assets. Phase 2 triggers a mandatory 60-day window. Following the initial ceasefire, negotiators must reach a final agreement on the verifiable dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program. This phase is currently deadlocked. The United States demands physical access to Iranian facilities to destroy stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, or HEU. Iran has rejected this, insisting that any dilution of the stockpile must occur on Iranian soil, under their own control. Intelligence reports indicate that Iran is actively mining facility entrances and collapsing access tunnels. They are physically fortifying these sites to delay any unilateral U.S. or Israeli military interventions while the 60-day clock is running. This phased structure allows Tehran to secure economic relief and liquid capital early. If the subsequent nuclear demands prove unacceptable, the regime maintains the ability to exit the negotiations after the blockade has already been lifted. That strategy assumes a unified government in Tehran, but the regime is split. President Pezeshkian's negotiators are facing an intense internal challenge from the hardline IRGC faction led by Ahmad Vahidi. To these hardliners, the memorandum is a surrender. They argue that reopening the Strait of Hormuz strips Tehran of its primary deterrent against the West. This resistance has spilled into the streets. During public demonstrations in Mashhad, crowds directly accused Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi of compromising national security, labeling the chief negotiator an infiltrator. On the same day as those protests, a coordinated cyber attack crippled the shared communications infrastructure of 4 major Iranian financial institutions, causing massive disruptions across the banking sector. This internal resistance effectively limits the government's mandate. By signaling instability at home, the hardliners weaken the negotiators' hand abroad and leave the regime's economic infrastructure vulnerable to further attack. While diplomats traded drafts over secure video feeds, the physical battlefield escalated. Israeli aircraft launched strikes targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in the southern suburbs of Beirut. The Netanyahu administration executed these strikes to assert its own military agency. They fear the U.S.-brokered agreement leaves Israel's northern border exposed by failing to permanently dismantle Iran's network of regional proxy militias. The timing of the strikes drew a sharp response from the White House. President Trump took to Truth Social, stating the attack should not have happened on the eve of his diplomatic victory, writing, "We are very close to a deal. Let's not blow it." In Tehran, Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf declared that the strikes prove Washington either lacks the will or the power to restrain its regional allies. This creates a terminal roadblock. Iran maintains that no final peace agreement is possible unless Israeli military operations in Lebanon completely cease. By continuing to strike, Israel effectively holds a veto over the entire U.S.-Iran peace accord. All of this brings the timeline to the present. The electronic signing was scheduled for Sunday, but the process is now in limbo as both sides review the memorandum amidst the smoke in Beirut. The current state of affairs is contradictory. President Trump continues to claim a deal is very close, while Iranian sources maintain that nothing has yet been finalized. The 2026 conflict illustrates how bilateral diplomacy can be paralyzed. Even when 2 superpowers agree to a framework, decentralized local actors and regional allies can take unilateral actions that derail the entire process. Until the nuclear standoff, the internal Iranian sabotage, and the regional escalations are resolved, the Strait of Hormuz will remain volatile. The artery for 20% of the world's crude oil sits trapped between acting as a sovereign toll zone or an active combat zone. The Islamabad Memorandum offers a tactical pause, but it is not a final peace. It is a roadmap to a ceasefire in a regional war that no single signature has yet been able to resolve.